I absolutely believe this is true, that I'm sure other countries fund similar things, but also it was in reaction to some of the ICE raids. Right. I mean, it was a visceral reaction that a lot of people had, the idea of people just showing up and pulling people out of schools and pulling people out of Home Depot and pulling people that were just hardworking people that maybe snuck over here because they didn't have a legal way to get over here. But since they've been here, they've been good people and they're a part of communities. And that's what freaks people out, because when people thought about ICE, they thought, great, we're going to get rid of the gang members. They didn't think, great, you're going to get rid of a landscaper.
MAGA Congresswoman Paulina Luna, say that 5 times fast, went on Joe Rogan's podcast Wednesday, and he actually pushed back against some of her rhetoric on ICE raids in Los Angeles and elsewhere, when she claimed that they had been orchestrated by Chinese money. Now, I've got some more clips to show you first, but Cenk, what do you make of this kind of xenophobic trope as cover for what clearly Trump is doing?
Yeah, so look, I think Rogan's been right about this it's definitely not day one, but for a while now in the Trump administration. And he's been saying, guys, we signed up for getting rid of the immigrants that were criminals and for closing the border. We didn't sign up for you guys snatching up grandmothers and babies and stuff. This is crazy. And why are they masked? So credit to Rogan on that. But later I want to talk about Luna, because like this is a good portion of this interview that we're showing you guys. I watched the longer version. Oh, she cray cray. Like, I want to get back to her theories on who's funding the protests, because there's still Republicans out there who totally lost their minds.
Yeah. Let's pick back up where we left off. Like Luna, Rogan contends that the protests against the ICE raids were at least in part manufactured. Take a look.
When people thought about ICE, they thought, great, we're going to get rid of the gang members. They didn't think, great, you're going to get rid of a landscaper.
But the question is, why didn't they do it then why did these riots and why did this disagreement not happen under
I don't disagree with you. I think
Obama, Biden.
Listen, I'm sure some of these riots absolutely are manufactured. I'm sure they are. I'm sure these pallets of bricks that get left off on corners when they know that there's going to be a BLM
crazy.
riot,
Yeah.
that's bananas.
Well, and they fundraise.
And he agrees with Luna that the border has to be tightly controlled so the US can screen for criminals coming in. But he also brings up the fact that a lot of corporations rely on cheap labor from undocumented people, and references something a high-level government official allegedly told him. Take a look.
The thing that freaks people out is, like, how many corporations rely on illegal labor? Someone actually said to him that they don't want to stop the illegal immigration because they need cheap labor.
Correct. I actually think that it'll never stop, at least not in Congress.
That they don't have to pay them any benefits. They don't have to take care of their insurance.
Or pay them at all.
Well, they pay them, but they don't have to pay them what they're supposed to pay them.
Well, I've heard cases where people, specifically contractors, will walk on people if they know that they're here illegally.
Luna never really addressed Rogan's points about the ICE raids being draconian and unpopular. But she does eventually agree that the current US immigration system has to be fixed so that people can be moved through the system faster. In this clip, Luna says something that we've been well aware of on the progressive left for a very long time, but it completely blows Joe Rogan's mind. Take a look.
This gray area that's been created, in my opinion, they don't want a solution for. They do it intentionally with the understanding that both sides are going to fundraise off of it. In my opinion, if I was to be able to actually fix this, I would say that you have to, pause, let the system run through, take everyone in, vet them, make sure that they're not criminals, etc. But then the system allows time for it to actually catch up to itself, and then you can continue as is.
What you just said was so scary, that they don't want to resolve it because they want the issue to exist so they could fundraise for it against it.
Yeah.
That's so nuts and probably so accurate.
It is accurate. Cenk?
Yeah, so there's so many things to comment on there. Let's start with the last one. So that's something we've been telling you about on the Young Turks for a long time. So Democrats will sometimes propose a regulation or something that'll help you, like lowering drug prices, right? And it's a twofer. They know that they're generally not going to do it. If they do it, it's going to be tiny and cosmetic. But one, they know that it's very popular. So they're like, we're gonna lower drug prices, and their voters get excited about it. And then Big Pharma comes in and just starts making it rain, right? Not just on Republicans to oppose it, but more importantly, when the Democrats are in charge, flipping Democrats to oppose it. And they do, and they win easily. Or they'll do something cosmetic like Biden did, where he'll lower prices on literally one drug and leave tens of thousands of drugs alone. And say, oh, over the course of a decade, if Trump lets us and after we lose, we might do 10 drugs out of tens of thousands of drugs, right? But the voters are like, oh, he did it, as if he accomplished the whole thing. It's sort of, but meanwhile, Democrats and Republicans are raising money from Big Pharma hand over fist. Don't worry, we'll protect 99% of the drugs. There'll be no capitalism, no free market, where the American people will be forced to pay whatever price you put on it. Don't worry, we all work for you. And then they'll turn around, not only fundraise off of Big Pharma, then they'll turn to their grassroots fund donors and go, we regulated prices on drugs. Or 99% of the time, they don't even do that cosmetic thing. They're like, we are really gonna go get those bankers. And then, oh, we were foiled again by the Republicans. But if you send us $5 more, right, this time we'll get them. And the Republicans do likewise. So like almost everything the politicians do is fraudulent. And mainstream media has been a play. They've been putting on a play for you guys, right? And so you just didn't know that you had gone to the theater. It's not real news. The reality is these guys are enormously corrupt and doing scams like this nonstop. In fact, the last story we did on this show was about the Stock Act. And so back when the Democrats were in charge, the Republicans are like, "Well, we got to get accountability here. We can't have insider trading." And the Democrats are like, "No, no, 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 no." And Nancy Pelosi's like, "No way," right? Now the Republicans are in charge, and all of a sudden the Republicans are like, "Oh no, it's a Stock Act. No, we can't. No, we're not going to do that." And the Democrats are like, "Oh my God, we want the Stock Act." And Pelosi came out. Come on, come on. Epstein files, same thing, right? Constantly, oh golly gee, we changed our minds instantly once we got into power, because it's all a scam. On immigration, the core issue here. Okay, God, guys, of course it's the corporations. Do you know how much money they save? One, they pay a lower wage, right? But that's not all. They don't have to contribute to their health care, to their Social Security, to their Medicare. They save a ton of money by using undocumented immigrants. That's why they're never gonna fix it. If they fix it, and some places where they have fixed it, they're now having to pay $20 and benefits. And they're complaining, oh my God, I have so much more costs. Yeah, but that's what it actually costs, right? And so they're playing a shell game on you. It's so frustrating. You know, sometimes I see Rogan realizing something, and I want to go, come on, Joe, how did you not know that? On the other hand, I think, no, screw it, who cares? Good, he found out, he told his audience. Great, I'm happy to have it, right? Now, at the same time, I want to let Jackson in here and say, so I want to talk more about Luna in a second, because the Chinese funding the protests, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I want to explain that. Then she talked about interdimensional beings. Fascinating, fascinating. Like I'm less skeptical about that than I am about some of the other things she said. But Jackson, what do you think?
Well, I think it's been pretty interesting just as Trump is underwater on all the issues. But with immigration, he's delivered pretty much how he said he would, in terms of especially the culture and the attitude and how they're going about it. Mass deportations now, $170 billion to the Department of Homeland Security, 30 billion allocated specifically for ICE, 10,000 new hires, and they doing their damnedest to get them people through the door. What, $50,000 sign up bonuses, get your student loans paid off, lowered the age cap. You can be 18 years old doing this, and somehow they talked about it. They were like, like something about like, father-son bonds like never before, something like that. Like we're going hunting. Like I remember me and my pa when we used to graduated from fishing by the river to fishing Mexicans. But that's basically like how they, like how they were pushing it. They were, they've been wearing masks because this really is not. It's not an attractive job to do. Like, oh, what do you do for a living? I got my student loans paid off. I was looking for a job. I was down on hard times, and I go hunting people who work at IHOP and work in the fields. But I mean, this is Stephen Miller. This is like the center of Stephen Miller's identity and who and what he is as a human being. So as long as he's in position to do that, whether it's posturing or actually ripping people out, he's gonna continue to do this. Oh God, look at him. He's just a Mr. Mayonnaise, that's his name from now on. But he's a repugnant, he really is a repugnant person. And again, this is the centerpiece of his identity and what his goal is in Trump's administration is to get them all out.
Democrats, if they ever are in power again, and the way that the Republicans are trying to redraw districts in Texas, and who knows what this California fight looks like, but let's just say hypothetically, they have a trifecta after 2028. They need to seriously reckon with the size and scale with DHS, ICE, Customs and Border Protection. That's something they have been unwilling to engage with, and they demonized progressives who talked about abolishing ICE. You will have a serious problem on their hands because of how massively they have ballooned DHS and specifically ICE and CBP. You cannot allow this to exist at its current levels, or what will be its current level in a year after they hire up with these bonuses that Jackson is talking about. Because especially the people that they're going to bring in are going to be some of the worst of the worst. The people that they are attracting for this effort right now will be some of the most vile, racist, white nationalists, explicit Nazis. The Intercept did a story a couple weeks ago that it's fine if you have a gang or white supremacist or offensive or racist tattoo. That's totally fine. If you have a gang tattoo and you are undocumented or you're an immigrant, no, goodbye. That's just cause for them. But if you have a gang tattoo or an explicit Nazi tattoo and you want to join ICE, that's totally fine. That is who, in part, they are bringing on board with these bonuses that your tax dollars are funding, and the Democrats, should they ever regain power, must reckon with in that department.
Yeah, so again, building on things you guys said. First, they mentioned, how come there are no protests under Obama and Biden? Well, there's two reasons for that. One, yeah, I think the media did treat it differently. When Obama was breaking records and deporting people, they didn't make it sound like a big deal at all. And because they're in the establishment protection business, and whether it's Democrat or Republican establishment, Trump, they have a bigger deal, make a bigger deal out of. But there's a giant second part of it that's even more important, which is keep it real. Obama mainly did it at the border. Okay, now he also would get undocumented immigrants who were criminals right out of jail, but that was before sanctuary cities. Okay, so it made it easier because it was just criminals and at the border. They did not do these ICE raids and snatching people up off the streets, which is viscerally feels ugly, and the American people are not in favor of it. So that's an enormous difference that they're leaving out of that equation. So when you get to how ugly it looks, guys, I mean, as Jackson was talking, it reminded me of like people in shame covering their faces because they're gonna do something awful. It made me think of the Klan and their mass, right? And that's why they put it on, because they were about to take another human being and light him on fire. And no matter how racist the South was even back then, there was still a little bit of shame in lighting someone on fire when they were alive, right? So that's why they had to wear the hoods and stuff. So, and then it made me think of, oh right, there was these guys called slave catchers. And if someone ran for their freedom, their job was to go chase them down. Okay, that was a real profession back then. So this has an ugly past. No, in terms of the mass, they'll say, oh no, it's because they're arresting gang members and it's really dangerous. Cops in America have been arresting gang members for time immemorial, and they didn't need masks and they show their badge. No, in America, we're proud and we don't need to hide our law enforcement. Now, sometimes law enforcement goes a little too far, but that's why we demanded body cams on them, and we got body cams, right? Did we get all the reforms we wanted? No, but at least they're still within the rubric of democracy and decent society, where it's not mass men with no badges throwing you into a van. And what happens when you get into that kind of chaotic anarchy? Well, as we reported a couple of days ago, now masked men pretending to be ICE with no badges are getting women to go in their vans and raping them. So this happened in North Carolina, in Maryland. It was an attempted rape in New York, and then luckily he couldn't get away with it, but he assaulted her and he robbed her, etc. Because they're thinking, I mean, they look just like ICE, right? All you got to do is put a mask on. I don't even want to talk about it for fear of people, it's spreading. That's why you don't put masks on people. And the reason they're doing it is because it's shameful. And so I'm sure some terrible people will sign up. I'm also sure that some desperate people will sign up. A $50,000 signing bonus is no joke, right? I mean, people are joking about Dean Cain, the former Superman, signing up because he hasn't worked in a while, right? And so, like, they're gonna get some folks who are in desperate times who don't wanna do evil. They're gonna get some people who wanna do cruelty. But this is in America. And the good news is that the American people hate it. The polling is on our side, it's on Rogan's side. Like, no, don't do this. This is disastrous. Oh, but I promised you something, so I gotta get back to two things real quick on Luna. So Luna had this lunatic conspiracy theory about how, and I'm sure that a bunch of people on the right, a radical right, have it, but like, the Chinese are funding all the protests. That there would be no protests if it weren't for the Chinese. Well, you grab people's family members in the streets of LA, and you grab them, and one lady tried to hide in a tree, and the baby's crying, and all this stuff. Other people are gonna come out. The Chinese don't have to pay them to come out. I mean, that's absurd. So why do they say ridiculous? And it's like to drive up anger against the Chinese. Oh, the Chinese. How much money does it take to do like that protest in LA? They burned a couple of tires. They like did some damage, but did it cost a lot of money to do that? It cost no money to do it. What are you even talking about? What's the paying on the protester stuff, right? Why do they say that? Because it's projection. Because on the Republican side, the Koch brothers and other financiers have been paying for protests the entire time. Like they'll bring in fancy buses against Obamacare back in the day. They'll give free food, sometimes they'll give checks. Oh yeah, protest Obama here, come get your donuts and your money, right? So since they have been artificially doing these protests, you can tell when it's a right-wing protest that is real and one that's artificial, right? So they'll get mad about COVID and they'll do a protest, that's real, right? Like, oh my God, we do not want healthcare. Where's my check? Okay, and some of those guys were real, some of them were financed by people who were, wanted to profit off of a corrupt system. So they assume, oh wow, the Democrats must be doing the same thing. I bet it's the Chinese that are getting us to protest. No, brother. And by the way, if you're looking for a foreign government that might be influencing people in America and politicians, they keep looking like China, Venezuela, Botswana. It's Israel. Let me solve the mystery for you. It's Israel. But even Israel, for all the crazy things they do and the corruption that they finance, they're not doing the protests in the streets. They're not financing that either. Just use your mind, guys, for God's sake, right? Finally, she was a little bit more credible on the interdimensional beings. She says, look, guys, I'll tell you this. She says that they have, people in the government have told her that these things exist. I don't know what an interdimensional being is, but I'll tell you, if an ally of mine wins, we're gonna do a couple of things first. First thing we're gonna do is find whatever evidence is still left and not shredded about Epstein and release it immediately, okay? The second thing is, all right, show us the goddamn aliens. Right. Let's go, show us the aliens, right? Because tons of people that are in government are like, yeah, there's definitely aliens. So I guess there's aliens. I don't know if they're interdimensional and I don't know what that means, but it's not impossible. All right, so last thing, aliens, yes, no?
Yes.
You say yes?
Do I believe it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think it's rather implausible that life does not exist elsewhere. I don't think that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's mainly the Chinese financing those undocumented aliens.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do we have the saw of her? Because I would like to hear a little bit more about what she's saying.
Yeah, no, we don't have that saw.
Well, from what I understand,
we do have it. Oh, my bad. Let's watch it.
Let's hear more.
I can also tell you, and this might sound crazy, but based on our investigations and stuff that we've seen, okay, there is definitely something that I think would rival what we know currently with physics and a tech that potentially is out there that we don't have the ability to reproduce. They call them interdimensional beings. I think that they can actually operate through the time spaces that we currently have. And that's not something that I came up with on my own. That's based on stuff that we've seen. That's based on information that we've been told. Have I seen a portal open? No. Have I seen a spaceship Personally, no. Have I seen evidence of this? Yes.
So that's what I was curious what she was going to say, because I've heard that, oddly, that Tom DeLonge from Blink-182 has his like alien like research organization, and he put forward this claim a couple years ago, and others have made it, of course. It's not so much like there's physical aliens, but more that it's something moving across time and space. Okay, sure. I was kind of with them until she's putting it forward. Now it's like, all right, what don't they want us to see? They're hiding something.
Right. If Luna says maybe not, but she was good on the Epstein files. So look, fairest show in America.
That's a
okay.
low bar.
Yeah. Well, of course, a low bar, but it's a low bar that like 98% of politicians are not clearing, right? So the jury's out on them, but it's hilarious that that was one of her best theories. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.